Days of Our Lives Thursday, September 26 recap. Tate's suspects drunk Brady. Sarah's SOS to stop Xander. Days of Our Lives. DOOL. Spoilers recap for Thursday, September 26, reveals that E.J. DeMera, Dan Fuerigo, continued to get under Eric Brady's, Greg Vaughn, skin regarding Holly Jonas, Ashley Kuzmis, and how she no longer trusted Eric or Nicole Walker, Ariane Zucker. Eric finally lunged at E.J., so he accused Eric of assault as Jada Hunter, Elia Cantu, arrived to break up the fight. Jada pushed E.J. to take a walk and cool off while she listened to Eric's version of events. In the park on Thursday's Days episode, Sarah Kyriakis, Lindsay Godfrey, pointed out that she saw Xander Kyriakis, Paul Telfer, with a man who handed him something. Xander finally showed Sarah the gun and admitted he was going after Brady Black, Eric Martsolf, again. Sarah blew her top and argued that Xander's actions weren't helping her, especially when he could go to prison. Xander offered a cryptic hint about Brady shooting himself and assured Sarah that his hands would be kept clean. Even so, Sarah argued that Xander should let the justice system handle Brady. And if that didn't work, he should let the universe or karma take care of it. That wasn't good enough for Xander, who still couldn't let go of his vengeful desires. Later, Sarah was pensive back in her bedroom and wondered aloud what she should do. After Sarah called Jada with some important updates, Jada listened intently to her news. At the bistro on Thursday's Days episode, Fiona Cook, Serena Scott Thomas, decided not to eat her cheesecake and gave it to Sophia Choi, Madeline Kantz, since she was clocking out. Sophia agreed to join Fiona, who quizzed her about her love life and offered some advice about her boy troubles. Fiona admitted Sophia reminded her of herself at that age, so she made some romantic predictions and left her a big tip. At the townhouse on Thursday's DOOL show, Tate Black, Leah Howard, grilled Holly about why she was in Brady's room. Holly tried to make excuses at first, but she eventually admitted she was looking for evidence that Brady was behind the wheel during the accident. Holly also alluded to working with E.J., so Tate lashed out and complained about her not really wanting to fix things between them. Once Tate pushed Holly to leave, she ran into E.J.'s comforting arms in the town square. E.J. took Holly back to the DeMera mansion for a cup of tea, so she explained what went down with Tate earlier. Holly got E.J.'s reassurance that making Brady pay would be his priority, especially since it mattered so much to her. Once Fiona made it home and asked Sarah about Xander's whereabouts, Sarah said there was something Fiona should know. Back in the town square, Xander's henchman introduced himself to Brady as Brian Jones, Brian D. Cohen, and acted like they'd been to a lot of the same AA meetings. Brady didn't remember Brian, who suggested Brady's group shares had been helpful and ultimately extended his hand. As Brady shook it, he yelped as something sharp poked his palm. Brady asked what that was, so Brian said he must have caught that edge of his ring. Since Brady had clearly been drugged, he was pretty out of it by the time he made it to the townhouse. Tate was frustrated since he assumed Brady had been drinking again, but he helped Brady to bed so he could sleep it off. Once Tate wound up in the town square, Sophia could see that he was upset. After Sophia consoled Tate with a hug, she pushed him to tell her everything. Back at the townhouse on Thursday's Days episode, Xander broke in and slipped inside Brady's room. Brady was still conked out as Xander prepared to put the gun in his hand and pull the trigger. Once Xander heard Jada coming, he hid the weapon before she appeared. Xander claimed he was there to support Brady and that he simply found him passed out like this. However, Jada was there because Sarah had revealed some shocking information. Days of Our Lives spoilers say Xander won't get a chance to finish Brady off like he planned, so stay tuned. In the bustling world of Days of Our Lives Thursday, September 26, unfolded with intense drama, deep-rooted suspicions, and life-altering decisions. Salem, ever the epicenter of intrigue, was about to experience another roller coaster of emotions, particularly for Brady, Tate, Xander, and Sarah. The sun had barely risen when Tate Donovan, now a young man teetering between loyalty and distrust, made his way through the doors of the Kyriakis mansion. It wasn't often that he visited his father, Brady Black, especially these days, when Brady's behavior had taken a sharp turn. But this morning, something gnawed at Tate, an unsettling thought that had been plaguing him for weeks now. He couldn't shake the suspicion that something was deeply wrong with Brady, and the dark cloud of addiction might be looming again. Tate stood in the grand foyer, the cool air chilling his spine. His eyes, a mirror of his father's, scanned the room for any sign of life. It was quiet, too quiet. He hadn't expected to see Brady lounging on the couch or sipping coffee by the fireplace, but this silence wasn't normal. It was eerie. In his mind, memories of Brady's past battles with alcohol and drugs surged forward. Brady had fought those demons tooth and nail, with each relapse taking a heavier toll on their relationship. Tate loved his father, but there was only so much heartbreak one son could take. He had come to the mansion today because he feared the worst. He feared that the man he looked up to might be spiraling again. After searching the mansion for several minutes, Tate found Brady in the den, a place that had often served as a sanctuary for moments of reflection. But the man seated in the oversized chair didn't appear to be in deep thought. A glass of bourbon sat on the table beside him, half empty, and Brady's usually sharp eyes were glazed over. The sight confirmed what Tate had feared. "Brady," Tate said, his voice steady but thick with concern, "what's going on?" Brady blinked, as though trying to bring his son into focus. He made a half-hearted attempt to hide the glass, but it was too late. Tate had already seen everything he needed to. "Nothing, Tate," Brady replied, his words slightly slurred. "Just unwinding. I had a rough day." Tate crossed his arms and exhaled, frustration evident in the lines of his face. "Unwinding? Or drowning your problems again? You promised me, Brady. You promised you wouldn't go back to this." Brady ran a hand through his tousled hair, looking both guilty and defensive. "It's not like that," he insisted. "I'm handling things. Just a drink, nothing more." But Tate knew better. He'd been down this road with Brady before, and it always started the same way, with just a drink. Meanwhile, across town, Sarah Horton was dealing with a crisis of her own. Ever since Xander Kyriakis had come back into her life, things had been anything but simple. The love they once shared still flickered in her heart, but it was tangled up with too much pain, too many broken promises. And now, Xander had made a reckless decision, one that threatened not just their fragile relationship, but his very life. Sarah paced in her hospital office, phone in hand, debating whether to call for help. Xander had gotten involved with dangerous people again, ones who wouldn't hesitate to take him down if things went sideways. She had warned him to stay away from that world, to make a clean break, but Xander, being Xander, had let his ambition and thirst for power lead him astray once more. She couldn't stand the thought of losing him, even after everything. Their connection was undeniable, and no matter how much she tried to distance herself, she always ended up back in his orbit. It was like a gravitational pull she couldn't resist. But this time, Xander was in way over his head, and if she didn't act fast, it might be too late to save him. With a shaky hand, Sarah dialed a number she hadn't used in months. It was her last resort, her SOS. "Rafe," she said when the call connected, her voice barely above a whisper. "I need your help. It's about Xander. He's in trouble, and I don't know what to do." On the other end of the line, Rafe Hernandez listened intently. He had a complicated history with Xander, and while they weren't exactly friends, Rafe respected Sarah enough to hear her out. "I'll be right there," Rafe assured her. "We'll figure this out." Back at the Kyriakis mansion, the tension between Tate and Brady reached a boiling point. "This isn't just about the drinking," Tate said, his voice rising. "You're acting like a stranger, and I don't recognize you anymore. You shut everyone out, me, Chloe, even Marlena. What's going on with you?" Brady stared at his son, torn between the urge to lash out and the painful realization that Tate was right. His grip on reality was slipping, and the weight of his past mistakes was suffocating him. But instead of admitting his vulnerability, Brady lashed out.